Unless we start.
Yeah.
No, we're just waiting for him to
Yeah.
start.
I got smart after the last time we did this and just agendized it directly following the organization.
So I'm at City Hall.
Yeah, that's a all good.
Justin.
Sitting in. Oops, sorry.
All right, we're live with the board meeting. You advise we have Michael as a guest on there. Third possibly.
All right, welcome, Michael. Calling to order this meeting of the Village of Fredonia Board of Trustees, Thursday, May 7th, 2026. First item of business is to pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk Johnson, could you please take the roll?
President Lund,
Here.
trustee Redmond. Here. Trustee Frank. Here. Trustee Abedlin.
Here.
Trustee Searing.
Here.
Trustee Van Roon.
Here.
Trustee Stowe.
Here. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Please note that public comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, approving the minutes of the April 16th, 2026 Board of Trustees meeting and approving the general fund water and sewer invoices. Do I have a motion? Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a presentation on the board policies and procedures by Administrator Jenkins.
All right. In discussions with President Lenz, we thought it'd be a good idea since we have a new board, some new members, even some veteran members that we go through at least a high level, our board policies of how we interact during public meetings and with each other. So that way we all start off the new term strong. So I'm going to just follow, you can follow along in your packet if you'd like. I'm going to start off with the first one, which is 2.1, which is our code of conduct. So high level, this is how we just work with one another, right? We have different backgrounds, personalities, experiences, and we respect one another and those those personalities as we conduct our business. So some of the ways we do that is when we're meeting and we're having our meetings, we use formal titles. We have President Lenz, Clerk Johnson, Administrator Jenkins. Outside of these meetings, you can call each other whatever you want. But when we're in these meetings, we're gonna hold each other with the respectful titles that we have earned. Next is using civility and decorum in our discussions. There'll be discussions that'll come up that I'm sure you'll vehemently disagree with one another on, and that's okay. That is why you're a board of 7. And as long as we can leave these meetings, again, with respect for one another and each other's opinions and to, disagree agreeably, then we're all in a good place. Next is honoring the role of the president in maintaining order. That is why we have a village president. He runs the meetings. If things do get chaotic, obviously he's following Robert's Rules of Order to the best that he can. But if he asks you to stop talking or to move on to this item or to maybe get to items that are more germane to the discussion, we're going to respect that's his prerogative to do so. Moving on for official conduct of a public official. We are going to be welcoming to speakers and treat them with care and respect. We could have tonight where we have just a couple people in the audience, we could have a room full of people, right? If people come here and want to give public comments, or perhaps they're a speaker that have been asked to speak to us, we're going to treat them with that same level of respect as we would anybody else. Asking for clarification, but avoiding a debate. We do not want to hear debates here. That's not what this room is for. This is for lively discussions and decision-making. And then remembering, of course, that Fredonia is a small, close-knit community. You are all neighbors. Many of you are friends. We would like to keep it that way, no matter what the discussion is here at the board level. Moving on to conduct with staff, please treat all staff as professionals. Everybody that we hire from myself, department heads on down are all here for a reason. We have roles and responsibilities that you have blessed us with, and we come with the qualifications to do that job. Same thing with the not superseding administrative authority. Please respect the roles that you all have as the policymakers and goal setters of the village, and then do the same thing with my role as administrator and department heads too. We'll get into that a little bit later. And then finally, please do not solicit political support from staff. That is not okay. Thank you. So we move on to the next page. You see the village's organizational chart. This shows that at the top of this chart are our residents, right? They're the ones that have put you in these seats that you are in. They remain at the top of our decision-making at all times. After that, they elect the village president and the board of trustees. You all are appointed, or various citizens are appointed to two different committees. I am your sole full-time employee. So if you have any concerns with anything within the village, ideally you're directing them through me. Does not mean you can't reach out to department heads, but depending on the issue, I'm your employee to reach out to. Underneath me then is our director of public works, our village treasurer, our fire chief, our building inspectors, our village clerk, and our head marshal, and all of those that are underneath them. So I hope you feel supported by a really good team, because I know that we have that in place here in the village. Moving on to the next section is the Code of Ethics. I won't bore you with this. I know you've all gotten copies of the Code of Ethics, but please read through it and be cognizant of those responsibilities that you have as elected officials. Moving on to section 2.3 is the village board and village administrator relations. So you all are the elected representatives of the community and are the highest level governing within here in the village. But your role is to establish, again, those missions, goals, strategic priorities, policies, adopting budgets, and providing necessary support that we might need as a staff as well. With that, you hire a village administrator. My job is to run the village on a day-to-day basis because, let's face it, you are all busy, and that is okay. And so as long as we respect the different roles that we have between the policymakers and those that carry out that policy, whether it's myself or the rest of our department heads, then we are on perfect terms. So some of the expectations that we have is that we're going to respect our individual roles together. The extent, methods, and timing of communication between the village board and administration are between you and I. You all know I do a weekly update to you all. I am regularly available, whether it's giving me a call, shooting me an email. I encourage having as much communication between me and you all as we can. So please continue to do just that. And then if there's ever a concern about, whether it's my performance, or if I have a concern with any of your performances, right, we have that ability to either have one-on-one conversations. We can go into closed session to discuss things, or if anything else comes up, it's covered either under our HR policies or underneath my contract. So just want to make sure that we're all clear with that as we begin as well. And then finally, second to last, we have the remote participation, recording of board and committee meetings. Every community is different in how they want to handle those electronic meetings. The way that we handle it is here, we are allowed to attend remotely if you need be. So if, Trustee Stowe, you're off on a work trip, right, you're able to call into a meeting to still participate. But depending on what you vote on and those procedures, that's what's laid out right here. And then finally, one of the most important tables and documents that we have is our attachment A here, which is our general purchase policy. So this outlines at what level, what type of oversight and approval is needed for different purchases. So for example, you guys approved a budget for this line item, right? And the cost is going to be under $24,999. Then we are required to have a minimum 3 written quotes, and I, as the agent, can approve that. But if it's anything over 25,000, that's when you see those kind of larger purchases come before you all. And then I'll note that state statute requires public bidding sometimes. Again, with the purchases are above 25,000, that's when we bring things before you. It doesn't mean you can't question purchases, right? So if you look through our expenses each month and you have questions about it, please ask, right? We're open books, we're open records for any of those expenses that you might have. So I think that's it. I rushed it really fast, but again, we want to just make sure that we're all starting on a really positive foot with our new board. And I think we'll probably set this expectation that each year, right, as we renew or elect new people, we'll go through these policies so we're all on the same page. So I appreciate it.
Does anybody have any questions or clarifications? No? All right.
Great.
Move on to the next item, items for action and or discussion. First item here is a motion to approve resolution 2026-02, authorizing Wisconsin DNR outdoor recreation grant applications. Administrator Jenkins, would you like to explain?
Yes, sir. So we've been working on a few different grant applications this spring. One of which is through the state. The state has various different grant programs and stewardship programs. What this resolution really does is it allows us to just generally apply for grants through the state of Wisconsin with your endorsement. Obviously, we all would love grant money, so I figured that's probably easy for you to do. But just to update you on a couple of the grants that we've been doing, we recently applied for a 50-50 grant for a bathroom at Freedom Park. For those who have been on the board for a long time, you know that we've been trying to get a bathroom there for a while. Different costs have made that prohibitive to us. But Stantec, who was one of the reps that we work with for grants, reached out to us and said that they felt pretty good that we might be able to get this money. So we quickly put together an application. And then just to make it more attractive, we looked at updating the canvas piece of the pavilion that's out there too. So again, if you don't know, the canvas is very difficult to put on and take off. And then when it rips, it's very costly to repair that. So again, to make the grant more attractive, along with the bathrooms, it's looking at a rehaul of that pavilion. This is, as I said, it's a 50-50 grant. So if we get the dollars, obviously we're going to have to come up with some money too. But luckily we don't have to expend those dollars until 2029. So give us some years to kind of figure out whether it's donations or capital funding that we would put aside. So that's the most immediate one that we have applied for. After that, I let you guys know through the weekly update, the stormwater management grant, we officially applied for that today. That's $86,000 cost that would get covered through the, I'm missing what it was. Do you remember the Lake Michigan group?
Funds for Lake Michigan.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So that entity we applied for dollars for a stormwater management plan that had come up when Stantec actually was out last year and we were driving through the village streets. They noticed that some of our parks have flooding in them, as we all know, with like Stony Creek Park. But then added to it, Eric acknowledged that some of our roads have low points too that are susceptible to flooding. So a stormwater management plan would literally be a plan developed to how can we mitigate those problems. And what's nice is that once we have that, this same Lake Michigan group can offer grants for the actual fixes of that too. So it's to be the first step towards actually cleaning that up. So those are the two more immediate grants. I just want you to be aware of that we're applying for that's related to this. But again, by you adopting the resolution, it just gives your endorsement for all of the wonderful grant dollars that we're trying to apply for. So we'd appreciate your adoption.
Discussion, questions?
Well, so Christoph, do we have an idea on, sorry, decorum,
Okay.
Administrator Jenkins?
Yes, Trustee Stowe.
Thank you. Sorry, seriously about that.
That's okay.
What would that 86,000 go to? Is it too early to know? Like, so you're talking about low points and streets and some park, I mean, are we talking about like elevation of roads at certain parts? Like,
So it's village-wide. So the 86,000 covers an actual plan, a village-wide plan, and really research docket of where are all of the low points, right, of the village that are susceptible to, if the river flooded through the middle of the village, what are the areas that are going to be in danger in a sense? And we've had that in the last couple of years when we've had heavy rainfall. Some of our low point roads have started to fill with water. And so that's what we don't have happen. So the
Okay.
plan, I mean, yes, we could probably drive through, we could tell you where the low points are, but you need to have a plan in place in order to then qualify for these other grants, right?
Yeah.
So the 86,000 would cover an engineering company creating that plan of action for us of these are the things to fix. And then again, allowing us to have access to the other grant dollars to do the actual fixes, whether it's lifting a road or, correcting the elevation of a park or whatever it might be.
Okay.
You got it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Anybody else?
Are there any repercussions if we do not end up using the $272,000?
No, we don't get it. And it goes to the next person.
No, just want to make sure there was no
No penalty.
payback or something like that.
Nope.
Anyone else? Hearing no other questions, do we have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-02 authorizing Scott DNR outdoor recreation grant.
Do I have a second? Any last minute discussion? I'll call-
Could this be only for the, whatever you call it, what's it called? The pavilion? Could this be only for the pavilion versus the restrooms and stuff? Or the canvas, whatever you call it, or is it?
The resolution itself is just endorsing all grant opportunities for recreation. But then more specifically, yes, the grant that I was talking about covers both the restroom facility / concession stand and the pavilion. But again, we won't have an answer on that for a number of months.
All right, I'll put the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Right?
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes. Discussion and possible action on village strategic priorities. Administrator Jenkins.
Sure. This will kind of be a long intro, but I want to make sure we're all up to speed here. So I first came on board at the end of 2022. In the summer of 2023, we went through I believe it was probably one of the first times that the village had gone through a strategic planning process. So out of that, we created a mission statement, a vision statement, and our strategic priorities. The way we did it back then was we had a small committee made up of some elected officials, some other community leaders and stakeholders who went through, it was about I'd say a 4-month process, about 5 to 6 meetings, where they really racked their brains on, what do they like about the village? What don't they like? What are improvements they want to see? What do they envision the village being, 15, 20 years from now? And that's what really boiled into the mission and vision and strategic priorities that we have today. The reason I bring it back up is because the only people that were around 4 years ago when we created that were Trustee Beglin and myself. And I really want to make sure that these priorities that we follow every day in our internal operations still match the values that you all have as a new board. So there's a couple things here. You can look at it all. You can look at the strategic priorities. You can look at the mission and vision and say, Chris, this is still exactly what I want. This is still reflective of the village as a whole. We don't need to change it. Keep moving forward. And that's great. We can do that too. But if you do want to take a stab at it, then I'd recommend this is probably a good time to do it since we have so many new faces on the board since the last time we addressed it. The reason why this is important is, and I imagine most of you know, literally everything that we do in the village is tied to those strategic priorities. You see it in my weekly update. You see it in my monthly update that I do. You see it when items are presented before you. We check off a box to say which of the strategic priorities we match. And the point in doing that is because if an item that we bring up doesn't match one of the strategic priorities, then guess what? We probably shouldn't be doing it because it's not reflective of the goals and priorities that you all set as a village board. So that's why that's so important. So that's the first part of this. The second part is the real colors assessment that I put in your packet here. So I had reached out, or I talked to Dr. Paul Roback. He's been before us before. He handled our parks assessment that we did. And he's pretty much available pro bono throughout the county for any sort of kind of work that we need through the UW extension. So he runs what's called a real colors assessment. So a real colors assessment is, you could call it a team building exercise, but it helps to identify everybody's strengths, weaknesses, and communication styles in order for everybody to really acknowledge and know each other better and then work together better as a group. So in going through this with him, we had talked about doing it last year, but knowing that we had some retirements on the board, another changeover happening, we held off until we have a new board here in place. So he goes through a little bit of what this looks like. It is in a perfect world, it's a one night just exercise, a couple hours long. We will bring in dinner, right? And we go through this process that helps us recognize, again, our own strengths and the way that we communicate with one another. So a good example of how this has been applied in other communities is, let's say there was a city manager who always just did written reports to everybody. Well, maybe not everybody is a learner like that, right? Maybe they need to see visuals and pictures. And by knowing that, hey, a majority of my board is not going to read my stuff anyway, maybe I should put more pictures in my report. That was something that he learned by going through this process and just acknowledging the different learning styles that we have. So in my mind, one, I think there's still value in doing this exercise, but there's especially a lot of value if we do look at updating our strategic priorities in doing that exercise first, making sure that we all understand how each other works and what our priorities are. That can then branch into a strategic planning process. Whether you want to do that as a full board, whether we want to do it as a committee again, it doesn't matter to me. But again, this is a good launching point to looking at the mission, vision, and the priorities that we have as a village. So that's enough talking by me. I'll let President Lenz lead it from here, but that's why it's before you today.
Still disorganized, I apologize. The real colors, Paul was describing the real colors thing, and it takes a couple of hours, but it's a way to develop better communications with each other. And since most of us are relatively new to each other, that's not a bad idea. Helps us also identify areas in which maybe members of the board, maybe the board is missing a communication style. They have 4 different styles, 4 different colors of people, they call it. The 4 different styles complement each other. When you have all of them in a group, it helps make the group more complementary, more effective. And doing something like this will help us to see if we have maybe some part of, maybe we have 4 trustees that are one color, 2 trustees that are another, one that's a third, but we don't have one of those communication types. They use the colors, but it's different types of communications. And so it would help us to identify where we might need to be careful or we might need to focus our strengths and so forth. It could be a very useful thing. It could be something that we could do in an evening, on an evening or an afternoon after or before a board meeting, or if we have a board meeting that doesn't necessarily, with no business, we could do it at that time as well. And as Administrator Jenkins said, if we're going to then start discussing whether our mission statement, our vision, or our strategic priorities do need to be adjusted or completely revised, being able to talk to each other and understanding where each other are coming from based on something like this would be helpful as well. Now, we may not, as Administrator Jenkins said, we may take a look at the strategic priorities and say that's exactly where we want to be, but at least we can communicate with each other more clearly. Doesn't cost anything, so there's no cost to the village, and if we schedule it at a meeting time, it's really no hair off anybody's back either, so. Questions, discussion, comments?
Go ahead, Shane.
This is a 3-hour event.
About 3 hours in. And it would involve not just the board, would also involve the leaders, the department heads,
Hmm.
and at least some of the full-time staff as well, so that we could all work together.
I feel like if we wanted to get to know each other and more communicate, we could take shorter amounts of time when wouldn't take as long and it'd be probably a little more effective than whatever this is. It seems like a lot of nonsense for 3 hours.
Just curious, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, if there's a response to that. Do I have to address, like, what I do a question here? Do I have to say President Lentz or,
If you want to be really formal, yes,
Yeah.
you should address.
Okay.
it.
We're having a discussion.
But you're-
yeah. I just want to do this right,
Yeah,
everybody.
good.
So, President Lentz, I'm curious, no cost for this?
No,
type of
So,
thing?
so Paul Robach works for the UW Extension, which is contracted through the county. So that the county's already paying for it. It's a free service. He's here and available to us.
Okay. Interesting. Now, is this like the Insights color, like the color blacks, that type of, no, anybody? No.
I think I know what you're saying, and I think it probably is, because this is just, I think, assessing a little bit of our personalities and our communication styles and understanding, my understanding what I'm reading on this, because I've done several of these
Sure.
in my career,
Yeah.
and it's just, it's identifying what style of communicator you are and how do you communicate with people that are not the same communicate, not the same style as you.
Or in a different position, somebody who holds a different position from you, how do you communicate with them? And these kinds of things have been vetted and gone through. I mean, this is a psychological test and a workshop type of thing,
Yeah.
which has been used throughout
Mhm.
industry.
It looks like color, like an A, B, D, or C.
Yes,
C
yes.
personality, and that's kind of what I, here, it's reading.
I mean, I'm open to the idea. I think there's a lot of value. Just looking at the new makeup of the board, I think we're all new. Not all, but good deal of us.
There's only one of us here who's been here more than
And-
3 years.
So, initial thoughts on this that I could get a lot of value out of that. I share Mr. or Trustee Van Roo's concern about a 3-hour time block. I don't know where we're gonna find it, but we might be able to make that happen, right? We just got to throw a couple options out there. I'd be in favor of looking further into this. Especially just I hardly know any of you. Sorry. So.
Anybody else?
And I think it'd be a great, really beneficial, and, I mean, when you think about it, when Clark Johnson is booking our board meetings, she's booking 3 hours. It may not take 3 hours for every single board member for board meeting, but we do schedule that time already. So possibly we could start it earlier, like at 6 instead of 7. But yeah, no, I think there's gonna be a lot of great benefit from something like this. I've done a lot of similar legally communication skills by career. You always can learn something new.
Hmm.
Even if you've done 100 of them, always learn something.
So should we direct Administrator Jenkins and Clerk Johnson to work on scheduling a Real Colors session for not just the Board of Trustees, but also the department heads, the members of the administration, and so forth?
Yeah, I know when we first looked at the schedule, we'd probably look at one of our summer meeting months anyway, because sometimes that's when the agendas get light, right? So we might just schedule it on a village board meeting night anyway. You guys would have planned on being here and then just have all of our actual business in one of the meetings and then do this, that other meeting.
Right.
Because I don't want to upend everybody's schedules, so.
And that would be most convenient, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
So that's one piece of it. What about the strategic priorities? When's the last time you've thought about them? You feel like they're still reflective of what you want to see in the village?
They are on your agenda here if you want to take a look at them.
They're everywhere all the time.
Yeah, they're on the wall, they're on the agenda, they're in your emails.
I've got to say, when I first read these, I was impressed. I really like what we have, and I don't know what we would add or take away. I don't know if anybody has thoughts on that.
So we have 5 of them. The first one is smart residential, industrial, and commercial growth. And being in the first place there, I'm assuming that gives it the highest priority.
Yes, these are
It is
ranked.
one of our highest priorities. And one of the things we could discuss is if the priorities, maybe we're happy with the priorities, but maybe we want to adjust the order in which they are prioritized. Next item is responsible fiscal policy. Then support for public safety and infrastructure. Number 4, encourage open communication and collaboration. And number 5, strong sense of community. So, I mean, having now read them out loud, read them yourselves and so forth, are there any of these that look like they could use tuning or retuning?
I mean, I-
Trustee Stowe, you want to just push this up a little bit? It'll pick
Okay.
you up, but we're getting a lot of static when you talk to.
okay, is that better? I think these 5 pillars are wonderful. I think it's hard to argue any of these on like what we want to accomplish as a board. My only hesitation with this is 2023 was only a few years ago. It's like a blink away, right? But like this is all newly elected people since 2023. And the time might be a little different, even as you know, we're just a few years away from that, but we're all newly elected. So if there's things we're hearing in our community, I think there'd be value at least in like more discussion around like, are these the right ones, or is there one we're missing, or something like that. That's just my initial 2 cents. I think these are very good pillars, and I'm not going to argue with any of them. But from a headcount turnover and being all of us newly elected, I think there could be value in us revisiting that.
I don't think we should add it to this, like the bullet points to this, but I think we need to make bullet points or have them publicly available to residents, like bullet points, what we're doing to actually achieve these.
So like,
priorities.
we've got number 1 here, smart residential, industrial, commercial growth. 1A, 1B, 1C. The
Bullet points
the
that are
bullet
kind
points.
of pointing out, like, what are we doing, for example, like, are we, modernizing and updating our harps to draw more? Because we can build as many houses as we want for down here, right? But if we can't build on houses, what's the point of
Right.
building?
So, would we want then, I'm sorry, would we want then to talk about what we are doing or what our aspirations are, what our
What
goals
we
are?
doing and what we would like to do more to drive that initiative, right? So we can say like,
Yeah.
an initiative is to have this, but what are
Instead of just saying Fredonia is committed to expanding our residential emerging strategic and responsible ways, like a few bullet points, like 5 or less, or 3 bullet points, where what are we doing? Are we encouraging, like with the Fredonia First program, et cetera? What other things are we doing? More of a bullet point instead of just a general statement, this is what we're committed to.
So we're
That's what
talking
you're thinking?
fleshing these out, filling them out so that they're a little more detailed, right?
And I think a good way to do that to, again, tie to actual examples of what we've done. And that opportunity really is through the annual report, I think. So that's a report that we started doing a few years back that we send with the tax bill that everybody gets. Everybody in the village gets this. So what I envision is, yeah, we could have those priorities, but then under each one, we could say, well, in 2026, we did this, this, and this. That way it's making it real, because I get your point. It's easy to say that, but what are you doing to push that forward? Yep. Great.
And ironically, at the same time, you'd be upholding one of those principles in the open communication and collaboration. Just to kind of build on him, these priorities weren't just pulled out of the air as something that sounds good. Over my time here, I've heard from residents something on each one of these 5 points before these were made up. These were the questions that were being asked. These were the hey, why aren't you doing these kind of things type of questions that I had been asked and some of the other former trustees. So I mean, these are good building blocks, kind of an overall guiding points. But yeah, I agree, we should definitely say what we're doing to adhere to them. If you look at any request for board consideration, it's right on there. It's, you know, he marks what priority it is. So we know what we're going to, and we can communicate that to the citizens as well. And then in the annual report that you send out, it could even be something we post on the website or even on the Facebook page, just somehow just communicate what we are doing. Although I do agree with trustee Stowe, maybe it's good to look at them once in a while. We don't necessarily have to change them, but it's good to take a look. Have we been hearing anything else from our citizens? Like, do we need to add or subtract these? So wouldn't hurt to take a look at them every X number of years. Would it be 2 or 3 or whatever we decide? So something periodic.
I think Clerk Johnson had a great suggestion when we were talking about this in the office, was that maybe just each year, as part of the organizational meeting, we just readopt the strategic priorities, right? And that's an easy way to kind of check the pulse of the board as it changes over time to make sure that those priorities still aligned with what you want to do.
Do we want to do that during the organizational meeting? Will the new members necessarily have had a chance to really sit down and think about them? It might be worthwhile, excuse me. It might be worthwhile to postpone that adoption for a meeting or two.
Yeah.
But in the interim, to spend a little time in one of the intervening meetings, talking about, kind of like what we're doing right now, talking about them and maybe have a brief presentation. What are those bullet points from the previous year? But I agree we should revisit them from time to time, but we need to think about how that's going to look. Is that going to be kind of what we're doing right now, or are we going to have a specific agenda item or agenda items to address it? Are we going to have a special meeting to address them? Do we want to set up a special committee to look at them every year? We could have a standing committee on the village's strategic priorities that meets as often as the ethics board does. Do we want to come out of this meeting with a game plan for this?
One thing I do want to make a comment on is there are 5 strategic priorities. And that seems to be a key type of number of priorities. You don't want to go more than that, because then you potentially lose
focus.
Gets
focus.
diluted.
It gets diluted. So I don't think we necessarily need more than that. And these are also very clear and precise priorities. I mean, any one of our residents can come up and say, support public safety and infrastructure. And they pretty much know what it is. Open and clear communication. Okay. So, as trustee Franklin said, it may have been 4 years that you came up with these, but they're still very valid, very relatable today. Well,
And I agree with what you said, President Landis, about maybe not at the organizational meeting, but maybe 6 months in or something, that'll give the new trustees, in this case, trustee Stowe and trustee Redmond, a chance to get a feel for what's going on, take some comment from citizens or anybody else. Maybe get a clearer picture of what needs to be prioritized. Chances are it's gonna fit pretty closely into these buckets.
Yeah.
Things change, so, yeah.
I also think there could be value if we brought these to our committee meetings that we're chairing and taking part in, just to get some other folks' thoughts on that.
Certainly can be done.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying like share with all the committees that we're part of, like these are strategic priorities, but to start with, you know, like we could show it to all the people we're working with and ask for their input, you know.
That can certainly, I mean, I believe the agendas for all of the committee meetings will have these on them as well. So I mean, they're available and they can be talked about. They could be agendized as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think? And the idea of waiting a number of months after the start of a new board before revisiting these, waiting 6 months to give everybody a chance. Does that seem like an appropriate amount of time? Too much, too little?
I think it's fine.
All right, so what I'm hearing is that revisit, just not necessarily rewriting, revising, or even changing, but revisiting the strategic priorities at approximately the 6 month mark after the induction of new members of the board to ensure that they are what the board visions them, the current board visions would be. Is that what
Yeah,
I'm
so
hearing?
then I think the other important time would be around budget time. So I would say when you approve the annual budget, that would probably be another good time to adopt
When is
these
the annual budget
priorities.
usually approved?
October, you know,
And this is
September,
April,
October.
so we're talking October. for
about
the-
6 months,
the-
right?
It'll sync up
Yeah.
pretty well with the budget time then. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Great. So that's good for that. We'll do some homework on the real colors and get a meeting on everybody's calendars for that. Any other thoughts on that big open-ended item?
I don't think we have to have any motions or anything. like
Nope,
that.
no. Great.
Any other discussion? No? And it's correspondence.
You have two invites from the Mid-Moraine Municipal Association. One is for the Legislative Committee meeting on May 13th. And then the other is for the dinner meeting on May 27th. If you'd like to attend, please let me know. We already have an RSVP, so that's exciting. And if anybody else would like to attend, I'm sure they'd be happy to have you.
And I will say I need Redstone. And it was delicious.
Is it good?
It was very good.
Redstone?
Yes, we had that dinner tonight and it was.
I don't think they have their menu online. I was looking for it.
They just opened, so maybe they haven't gotten that part done yet.
It is amazing food. It's so sad.
Where the Chinese restaurant used to be down there in Stockton? Yeah. All right, well, okay, these are off topic. Maybe they're items for future consideration, but anyway, items for future
Way
consideration.
to hold that gavel, President.
Right,
There you go.
right. Any items for future consideration?
Administrator Jenkins, do you have the details and information about former trustee Dorward's memorial?
Yes, I
You
do.
care to share that?
Yes, one moment. Ta-ta. Hmm. Sorry, I'm
I think
looking
it's
it up.
June 12th from
Yeah.
11 to 2 at Jenny's house.
His daughter, Jen's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trustee,
Former President Dorwart, Don Dorwart, he passed away April
Okay.
30th, and they're asking about when his memorial service is gonna be.
So it's
And that's a future consideration item. I think.
Saturday, June 13th,
Thank you.
from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at N 7277 Beach Street in Random Lake.
Former President Dorwart was on the board for 31 years. Yeah, so. Any other items for future consideration? Motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye. We're adjourned.
Right.